Last night, your person broke down before their friends and cried, and said, "Listen, I'm afraid, I saw it that I did not look away." When their voice trembled and the room grew quiet, when laughter faded into confusion, when their hands shook as they tried to explain something they had carried for so long, I was there. I was closer than the breath in their lungs. I heard the words they could not finish. I understood the meaning behind the tears that surprised even them. Humans often believe I only speak in thunder or fire, but I am also present in the cracking of a voice, in the silence that follows honesty, in the moment when someone finally admits the truth they have been hiding even from themselves. They said, "I'm afraid," but what they meant was deeper than fear. They meant, "I am tired of being strong all the time." They meant, "I don't know if I'm doing life right." They meant, "I smile for everyone else, but I don't know how to rest." I heard all of it. I always do. Nothing spoken from the heart ever misses me, not even when it comes out broken and unfinished. You see only the surface of people, but I see the layers. I see the nights when your person stares at the ceiling, replaying conversations, wondering if they are enough. I see the weight they carry silently so they don't burden others. I see how they give advice they themselves need. I see how they show up for everyone else while quietly hoping someone will notice when they are not okay. And last night, when their strength finally bent, that was not weakness, it was release. It was a soul exhaling after holding its breath for too long. Do not misunderstand me. I allowed that moment not to shame them, but to free them. Tears are not a failure, they are a language. When words are too small, tears speak. And when tears speak, I listen. I always have. I always will. You wonder why I let certain things build up until they spill over. You wonder why relief sometimes comes through breaking instead of avoiding pain. Hear me now, some doors only open when the heart is honest. Some healing only begins when pretending ends. I do not rush my children, but I do lead them, sometimes gently, sometimes firmly, toward truth. And truth, even when it trembles, is the beginning of peace. Last night was not an accident. The people who were present were not random. Even the timing was intentional. I know it felt sudden to them, like something snapped, like they lost control. But I call it alignment. I call it a moment where the mask became too heavy to keep wearing. I call it a seed being planted in the open, where it can finally receive light. You are asking what this means for you. You are asking if this moment changes anything. Listen carefully. Moments like this are turning points, even if they do not look dramatic afterward. Not every miracle arrives with fireworks. Some arrive as honesty. Some arrive as a quiet decision the next morning to stop hiding. Some arrive as a new awareness that says, I don't have to do this alone anymore. I am doing a gentle work in your person. Gentle does not mean small. Gentle does not mean weak. Gentle means precise. I am untangling old beliefs that told them they had to earn love by being useful, that rest had to be justified, that vulnerability was dangerous. Those beliefs did not come from me. They came from survival. And survival kept them alive, yes, but it is not meant to rule them forever. You may notice changes. Not all at once. Not loudly. But subtly. A pause before they say yes when they mean no. A deeper breath before reacting. A willingness to admit uncertainty instead of covering it with humor or confidence. These are signs of healing, not confusion. Do not rush them. Do not pressure the process. When I rebuild a heart, I do it layer by layer, because anything rebuilt too fast collapses under real life, and now, I speak to you directly. You have been sensing something shifting. You felt it even before last night, like a quiet tension in the air, like something unsaid waiting to surface. That sensitivity is not coincidence. You are perceptive because you care. But do not let care turn into fear. This moment is not a loss, it is an opening. It is not the end of stability, it is the beginning of authenticity. I am asking you to trust me here. Trust that I am not exposing wounds to embarrass, but to heal. Trust that I am not shaking foundations to destroy, but to strengthen. Trust that I know what your person can handle, even when they doubt themselves. I measure burdens carefully. I never abandon my work halfway through. You might feel unsure about what to say or do next. Good. That uncertainty keeps you humble and attentive. You do not need perfect words. You do not need solutions. Presence is enough. Kindness is enough. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can offer is space where someone does not have to perform. Space where silence is safe. Space where emotions are not fixed but felt. Do not replay their tears as something fragile. See them as something sacred. That was courage. That was truth stepping into the light. That was a soul saying, I can't carry this alone anymore. And when a soul admits that, heaven leans closer. I leaned closer last night. I am still close now. You may be tempted to worry about how others saw them. Release that worry. The opinions of the moment fade quickly, but the impact on the heart lasts longer. What matters is not who witnessed the tears, but that the tears were real. Real emotions move things you cannot see yet. They soften hardened places. They open conversations that would never start otherwise. They create room for new patterns to grow. I am not finished. Not with them. Not with you. Not with what I am unfolding behind the scenes. There are conversations coming that will feel lighter because of last night. There are realizations coming that will make sense only in hindsight. There is a strength being formed that does not rely on pretending anymore. Remember this: I am not disappointed by broken voices. I am drawn to them. I do not turn away from fear, I transform it. When your person said, "I'm afraid," they unknowingly placed that fear into my hands. And I am careful with what is entrusted to me. I do not waste vulnerability. I do not ignore honesty. I do not abandon those who finally tell the truth, so breathe. Do not rush to define what this means. Let it unfold. Stay present, stay gentle. Stay open. I am working in ways you cannot fully see yet, aligning hearts, easing burdens, teaching rest, reshaping strength into something quieter and deeper than before, and as this season continues, you will begin to notice how what felt like a breakdown was actually the first crack in a wall that never should have been built, and through that opening, light is already entering, slowly, steadily, faithfully. And I am asking you to walk with me in patience now, because what comes next will require trust, stillness, and a willingness to let go of old expectations as I continue to speak, guide, and reveal what this moment is truly preparing you both for. And as I draw nearer, there is something important I need you to understand before the next step unfolds, because what I am about to do next depends on whether you are willing to listen without fear, to remain open without controlling the outcome, and to allow my timing to lead even when it feels unfinished, because right now, it is unfinished, and I am not done speaking yet because what I am unfolding cannot be rushed. And if you try to name it too soon, you may misunderstand its purpose. I ask you to stay with me in this in-between space, where clarity is still forming and answers are not yet complete. This space is holy. Humans often fear it because it feels uncertain, but I do some of my deepest work here. Seeds grow underground long before they break the surface, and just because you cannot see movement does not mean nothing is happening. Right now, your person is standing at the edge of awareness. They are realizing things about themselves that were always true but never fully acknowledged. This realization may feel uncomfortable at first. Awareness often does. It disrupts autopilot. It challenges habits. It questions roles people have played for years. But discomfort does not mean danger. It means growth. I am teaching them to listen to their inner voice instead of silencing it for the sake of peace with others. True peace is never built on self-erasure. You may notice moments where they seem quieter than usual. More thoughtful, less eager to fill silence. That is not distance, it is processing. Silence can be a workshop where the soul rearranges itself. Do not interpret every pause as withdrawal. Sometimes it is integration. Sometimes it is courage gathering itself for the next honest step. Let them have that space without fear. I am present in it. There is also something unfolding within you. Do not think I have overlooked that. Witnessing vulnerability can awaken your own hidden questions. You may be reflecting on your role, your expectations, your boundaries, your hopes. This is intentional. Growth rarely happens in isolation. When one heart opens, others nearby feel the shift. I am inviting you to grow alongside. Not above, not behind, but with. I know you want reassurance that everything will be okay. Hear me clearly. Okay does not always mean unchanged. Sometimes it means truer. Sometimes it means lighter. Sometimes it means different, but healthier. I do not preserve situations just to keep them familiar. I transform them so they can sustain life. If something cannot survive honesty, it was already fragile. What is rooted in truth will endure this season stronger than before. Last night cracked something open, but cracks are where light enters. You may remember this moment later as the beginning of something meaningful, not because it was dramatic, but because it was real. Real moments recalibrate lives quietly. They redirect paths without announcement. They whisper instead of shout. Pay attention to whispers. I often speak there. I am teaching your person that strength does not require silence. I am teaching them that asking for understanding is not the same as asking for rescue. I am teaching them that they are allowed to be human without losing value. These lessons take time to settle. Old habits may resurface. Emotions may fluctuate. That does not mean failure. Healing is not linear, it is layered. Be patient with the layers. You may feel tempted to step in and fix things, to smooth over discomfort, to restore the familiar dynamic quickly. Resist that urge. Let authenticity breathe. Let conversations be a little awkward. Let truths take shape without polishing them prematurely. There is wisdom in allowing things to be imperfect while they are becoming whole. I am also reminding you that you are not responsible for carrying another soul's awakening. Support does not mean sacrifice of self. Compassion does not mean neglecting your own needs. I am a God of balance. I do not ask one heart to shrink so another can expand. If at any point you feel overwhelmed, that is a signal to pause, not push. Listen to that signal. I speak through it. You are both learning something essential. That connection deepens not through perfection, but through presence. Through listening without defensiveness. Through responding without judgment. Through choosing kindness even when answers are unclear. This kind of connection cannot be forced, it must be grown. And growth takes time. There will be moments when your person looks back at last night with embarrassment or confusion. Gently remind them, through your actions more than your words, that vulnerability is not something to regret. Shame tries to reclaim ground when change begins. Do not let it. I am dismantling shame piece by piece. Your patience helps that process more than you know. I am also rearranging circumstances you cannot yet see. Conversations will happen. Opportunities will arise. Perspectives will shift. Some of these changes will feel subtle. Others more noticeable. Trust the direction, even if you do not understand the map. I see the full picture. You see the next step. That is enough for now. Do not look for signs in chaos. Look for them in consistency. In calmer responses. In honest questions. In moments of rest where there used to be restlessness. These are my fingerprints. I leave them everywhere, quietly. I know there is a part of you that fears losing something familiar. That fear is understandable. Familiarity feels safe, even when it is heavy. But I do not take away without intention. If something shifts, it is to make room for what can breathe, what can last, what can grow without hiding. Trust me with that. Right now, I am asking you to stay grounded. Stay present. Do not jump ahead to conclusions or outcomes. This story is still being written. Pages are turning slowly, deliberately. If you try to skip ahead, you will miss the meaning of what is happening now. This chapter matters. I am with you in the waiting. I am with your person in the learning. I am with both of you in the quiet moments that do not make sense yet. I am not distant. I am not silent. I am working beneath the surface, where roots form, and as this continues, you will begin to see how last night was not about collapse, but about honesty choosing to live out loud. You will see how what felt like a breaking point was actually a turning point. You will understand why I allowed it to happen exactly when it did, exactly how it did, with exactly who was present. Nothing was wasted. Nothing was random. Stay open. Stay kind. Stay patient. Do not rush to close what I have opened. There is more I need to reveal, more alignment still taking shape, more understanding waiting just beyond this moment, and I will continue to guide you step by step, word by word, breath by breath, because this unfolding is not finished, and I am not done speaking, and what comes next will require even deeper listening, because the next revelation will challenge not only how you see them, but how you see yourself. And before we move forward, I need you to sit with this truth. Let it settle, let it soften you, because the next part of this journey is already approaching, and when it arrives, you must be ready to recognize it, and so I will pause here, not to end, but to prepare you, for what I will say next. Now listen, because this is where understanding deepens and the purpose becomes clear. I am not only speaking about your person. I am speaking about the pattern I am interrupting. For a long time, both of you have lived with unspoken rules, rules that said emotions should be managed quietly, that strength means endurance without complaint, that love must be proven through effort rather than presence. These rules were learned, not given by me. And what is learned can be unlearned. What is unlearned can be replaced with truth. Last night was the moment the old rule cracked. Not shattered, but cracked enough for air to move through. And air changes everything. It keeps things alive. Without it, even the strongest structures become suffocating. I am not interested in relationships, paths, or identities that cannot breathe. I am interested in life, full, honest, sustainable life. Your person is beginning to understand that being seen does not equal being rejected. That realization is powerful. It is also fragile at first. Treat it gently. When a soul takes its first steps out of hiding, it is sensitive to tone, to reactions, to silence. This does not mean you must walk on eggshells. It means you must walk with awareness. Let your presence communicate safety more than your explanations ever could. You may wonder if they will change too much, if honesty will alter the dynamic beyond recognition. Hear me, truth does not erase love, it refines it. Anything real becomes clearer under truth. Anything false fades. That is not loss, that is alignment. I align what belongs together, and I loosen what does not so it no longer causes harm. I am also teaching you discernment. Not every emotion needs immediate interpretation. Not every shift needs a conclusion. Sometimes observation is the most faithful response. Watch how things unfold. Watch how consistency replaces confusion. Watch how sincerity softens defenses. These observations will guide you better than assumptions ever could. There will be moments when your person feels hopeful and moments when they feel unsure. This back and forth is normal. Growth often feels like standing on new ground that has not yet been tested. Do not demand certainty from them before it has had time to form. Certainty grows through experience, not pressure. I want you to release the need to manage the outcome. You do not need to steer this process. You do not need to predict where it leads. That responsibility is mine. Your role is simpler, though not easier. Be honest, be kind, be grounded. That is enough. Remember this, when people finally speak their truth. They are not asking for perfection in response. They are asking for permission to be real. Give that permission freely. It costs you nothing, and it creates space for something lasting. I am also reminding you to tend to your own heart. Compassion does not mean neglect. Empathy does not mean overextension. If you feel tired, rest. If you feel unsure, pause. I do not ask you to disappear in order to support someone else's becoming. I value you fully, exactly as you are. This season may bring conversations that feel deeper than before. Some may feel unfinished. Let them be. Not everything needs resolution in one sitting. Trust the rhythm I am setting. I work in layers, not rushes. You will know progress not by dramatic change, but by subtle peace. By fewer assumptions. By softer reactions. By moments where understanding replaces defense. These are signs of real growth. Celebrate them quietly, and now, hear this clearly, because it matters. Last night did not weaken your person. It strengthened them. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is honesty in the presence of it. That courage will continue to grow, and as it does, the space around them will change too. Be ready to meet that change with openness, not nostalgia for how things were. I am not taking you backward. I am leading you forward. Even if the path feels unfamiliar, it is purposeful. I do not waste moments of truth. I build on them. There will come a time, sooner than you think, when you look back and realize how necessary this moment was. How it softened what was rigid. How it clarified what was blurred. How it set a new tone, quieter but stronger than before. When that time comes, you will understand why I asked you to trust me here. Until then, remain present. Remain gentle. Remain attentive. Do not rush to close this chapter, let it complete itself. Healing is not loud, but it is thorough. I am with you in every step. I am with your person in every realization. I am with both of you in the spaces where words are still forming. I do not abandon what I begin. And I am faithful to finish what I start. Now, rest your thoughts. Release the need to analyze further tonight. Let what has been spoken settle into your heart. There is no urgency. There is only unfolding. Amen.